Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yes.
Today, we're going to be looking at mastering small talk in English.
Oh, very cool.
And, we're doing this because you told us you want to get better at, those everyday interactions in English.
Right.
So I think this will be really useful for you.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes small talk can feel kind of awkward.
Yeah, for sure.
But the good news is this is something that you can definitely learn
Exactly.
and get better at.
You can practice it.
With practice, yeah.
Just like any skill.
So that's what we're going to be looking at today.
Yeah, and what's so interesting about small talk is, a lot of people think it's just kind of like pointless chit-chat.
Right.
But it's really not.
Yeah.
It's actually a really powerful tool.
Yeah, especially if you're someone who's like, trying to improve their English, trying to, connect in new settings.
Like new friends.
Like, maybe work or social situations.
Right.
So, okay, let's break it down. Like, why is small talk so important?
Yeah, so this guide, it actually outlines like 4 main purposes of small talk.
Okay.
And I think they're all super relevant to, our listeners and what they want to get out of this.
Cool.
So first of all, it's about breaking the ice.
Okay.
Like, it helps you ease into social situations.
Yeah.
Makes those initial interactions more comfortable.
Right.
Like, think about those networking events you talked about.
Uh-huh.
Approaching someone new can be so scary.
Yeah, it can be really intimidating.
But just a simple, like, hi, how are you?
Right.
It can open the door to, like, a potentially amazing conversation or connection.
Totally. I remember feeling so nervous, like, at my first conference.
Oh, for sure.
But just being able to, like, say hello, comment on something, the presentation that we just saw.
Right.
That really helped me kind of, like, relax.
Totally.
Get out of my head.
Yeah, and, like, start talking to people.
Yeah, and actually, like, start conversations.
Exactly. And that kind of leads into, like, the second purpose of small talk, which is, like, building rapport. So it's not just about, being polite. It's about actually, like, establishing a connection with someone.
Yeah.
Finding common ground, building a foundation for a relationship.
Right.
It's about showing genuine interest and creating, like, a positive vibe.
Yeah, I think that's a really good reminder, especially when you're feeling self-conscious about your English.
Yeah.
It can be easy to just kind of get stuck in your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
And forget to actually connect.
Totally. And that brings us to the third purpose of small talk, which is improving your language skills.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So small talk is such a good, low-pressure way to, like, practice your English in real-life situations.
Right.
Yeah, every conversation is a chance to try out new words, work on your pronunciation, gain fluency, like, in a really natural way.
Yeah, I like that.
You don't have to, like, memorize a textbook or anything.
Right, it's like built in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a mini language lesson every day.
I love it.
Yeah, and the more you practice, the more confident you become.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the fourth purpose, which is confidence boosting.
Okay.
So as you get more comfortable with small talk, you just start to feel more confident in your English. And that can have a ripple effect in other areas of your life too.
Right.
Like at work, socially, everywhere.
So it's like it all kind of starts with that foundation of feeling comfortable just chatting.
Exactly. Like small steps lead to big progress.
I like that.
Yeah, so now we know, like, why it's important, but how do we actually do it?
Right.
Like, where do we start?
Like, what are some good conversation starters?
Yeah.
Because I know this guide mentions, like, some simple greetings.
Yeah, sometimes simple is best.
Okay.
They emphasize, like, just a classic, hi, how are you? Or hello, nice to see you.
Right.
Those can be super effective.
Yeah, they do feel, like, pretty natural and approachable.
Yeah.
Even in, like, a more formal setting.
Absolutely. And if you want to add a little personality to it, you can always adjust the greeting to the situation.
Yeah.
Like, good morning works well in a professional environment.
Yeah.
But, hey there is perfect for something more casual.
Right.
The key is to just choose something that feels authentic to you.
Right.
And that fits, the context.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But, like, what if you're feeling a bit nervous and you're just, like, blank?
Totally.
You can't think of anything to say.
Yeah, for those moments, the guide actually suggests a really cool tactic.
Okay.
It's commenting on the environment.
Oh, tell me more about this.
Yeah, so it's a great way to break the ice without putting too much pressure on yourself.
Okay.
It shows that you're present and engaged with what's going on around you.
Right.
So, like, for example, if you're at a conference, you could be like, wow, this venue is impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Or, they did a great job with the decorations, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like something like that.
Yeah, because then it's like you're both experiencing that thing together.
Exactly.
So it's very easy to, like, connect on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it often leads naturally into more conversation.
Right.
Because they might agree with you. They might share their own thoughts.
Totally.
And boom, you've got a conversation going.
It's like an instant connection.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So instead of racking your brain for like the perfect line,
right.
you can just look around and
use what's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's a good trick.
It's so simple, but it makes so much sense.
That's right.
Okay, that is a really good tip. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
But I think where I sometimes get stuck is like keeping the conversation going.
Right.
Like once you've broken the ice.
Yeah, you've done the initial hello.
Right. Like what do you do next?
Exactly.
How do you keep it flowing?
Yeah. Well, the guide emphasizes the importance of active listening.
Okay, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean, like in a real conversation?
Yeah, it's more than just hearing the words someone is saying.
Okay.
It's about being really present, engage,
Yeah.
showing that you're genuinely interested in what they're talking about.
So like nodding along, making eye contact, that kind of
Yeah, those are good visual cues.
Okay.
But the guide takes it a step further and talks about the power of follow-up questions.
Oh, see, that's where I struggle. It's
Yeah.
like that fine line between showing interest and sounding like I'm interrogating someone.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Or like being too nosy.
Right.
It's hard.
But I think a good way to think about it is like follow-up questions are little gifts you give in a conversation.
Okay.
Like you're showing that you're paying attention.
Yeah.
And that you actually care about what they're saying.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So instead of just asking like, do you like to travel?
Right, which is kind of a closed question.
Yeah, you can just answer yes or no.
Exactly.
So what would be like a better approach?
Okay, so the guide gives this really great example.
Okay.
Instead of asking, do you like to travel? You could say, what's your favorite place you've ever traveled to? Or where's somewhere you're dreaming of going someday?
Right, because that like invites them to actually tell you something.
Exactly.
Like share some details.
Yeah, it's like you're opening a door
Yeah.
for them to like step through and
Yeah.
really share something about themselves.
I like that.
And then as they share, you can keep actively listening, use those nonverbal cues, and ask more questions to dig deeper into like what they're passionate about.
So it becomes like a back and forth.
Exactly.
Instead of like me just asking a bunch of questions.
Right, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is making a lot of sense.
Good.
But let's be real for a second.
Okay.
What about those moments where you like totally blank? You just can't think of anything to say.
Those awkward silences.
Yes, the awkward silences.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything in the guide about that?
Yeah, for sure. And it's so reassuring to know that even native English speakers
Oh, good.
experience those awkward moments.
Okay, good, because I definitely do. Sometimes I just like completely freeze
It happens.
and I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I say?
It happens to all of us.
Okay, good.
And it's not about perfection.
Right.
It's about the effort,
Mm-hmm.
the intention behind your communication.
Okay.
The guide actually suggests using like filler phrases
Oh, okay.
in those moments.
Like, let me think.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Exactly. Just
Okay.
to like bridge the gap and give yourself a second to think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they do caution against like overusing them.
Right. Because you don't want to sound like you're just saying, ooh, the whole time.
Yeah, it can get distracting if it's too much.
Oh, what's the alternative?
Okay, so this is where having a backup topic can really come in handy.
Oh, tell me more about this.
It's like having a secret weapon in your conversational arsenal.
Okay, I'm liking this.
Yeah, so it's basically just having a few go-to topics
Okay.
that you can easily bring up to fill those gaps.
Okay.
So this could be like current events that you're interested in,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a movie you watched recently, you know, something as simple as the weather.
Right.
Just something to kind of get the conversation flowing again.
But how do you choose a backup topic that's like appropriate?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, especially when you're first getting to know someone.
The guide suggests going for topics that are generally relatable
Okay.
and not likely to be controversial.
Right. You don't want to start an argument
Exactly.
right away, at least.
Especially when you're first meeting someone.
Right.
They also say to pay attention to the other person's cues.
Okay.
Like if they seem really interested in a certain topic,
Yeah.
that's a good sign to like delve a little deeper.
Right.
But if they seem uninterested or uncomfortable,
Yeah.
it's a good cue to like gracefully change the subject.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's all about like reading the room and being sensitive to the other person.
exactly.
Okay, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Speaking of sensitivity,
Mm.
the guide also talks about topics to avoid during small talk, right? Yeah, and that's something I sometimes worry about, like accidentally saying the wrong thing,
Right.
especially because, I'm still learning English.
Yes.
So it's like I want to be mindful,
Totally.
but also I don't want to be so afraid of making a mistake that I don't say anything at all.
Right. Well, the guide actually talks about that.
Oh, good.
And it emphasizes that, you know, it's okay to make mistakes.
Okay, good.
Everyone does.
Phew.
Even native English speakers.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
It's part of the learning process.
Right.
And it's more about, like you said, being mindful
Mm-hmm.
and respectful
Okay.
and just trying your best.
So what are some of those topics that the guide recommends avoiding?
Yeah, they mentioned a few that can be kind of sensitive,
Okay.
like politics, religion, personal finance.
Okay, those are all good ones to stay away from.
Yeah, at least in the beginning,
Right.
when you're first getting to know someone.
Because those can be pretty, heavy topics.
Exactly. And people have strong opinions about them.
Right. You don't want to, accidentally offend someone.
Yeah. And as you get to know someone better,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of gauge their openness to those topics.
Right.
And you can approach them more sensitively.
Okay.
But yeah, the guide's main message is about creating like a positive,
Right.
comfortable vibe for everyone involved.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot today.
Yeah, we have.
We talked about, why small talk is important,
Mm-hmm.
how to start conversations.
Yeah.
What to do when you hit those awkward silences.
Right. All the important stuff.
Yeah, but how do we actually put this all into practice?
Yeah, that's a great question.
What are some concrete steps we can take?
Well, I'm really excited about the practice section in this guide.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, because it goes beyond the theory.
Okay.
And actually gives you actionable things you can start doing.
Okay, perfect, because I'm all about action.
Me too.
So tell me what's in there.
Okay, so one thing they suggest is practicing small talk in low-stakes settings.
Okay, what does that mean?
So it's basically finding everyday situations where you can interact with people.
Yeah.
Briefly and without too much pressure.
Okay.
So like ordering a coffee,
Oh.
chatting with the cashier at the grocery store,
Yay.
maybe striking up a conversation with someone at the gym.
Yeah, those feel a lot less intimidating than going to a networking event
Exactly.
where it's all about small talk.
Yeah, it's like a more relaxed way to practice.
Right, you can just ease into it.
Exactly. And you could use those greetings,
Mm-hmm.
those follow-up questions we talked about.
Right.
Just get comfortable with the flow of conversation.
Okay. Yeah, I like
Like a good stepping stone
Yeah,
to those bigger, more challenging situations.
cool.
And the guide also mentions finding a language exchange partner.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those,
Yeah.
but I don't really know how they work.
Okay, so basically you connect with someone
Uh-huh.
who's learning your native language
Okay.
while you're learning theirs.
So we can help each other.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a great way to practice
Mm-hmm.
in a really supportive environment.
Yeah,
And you can share cultural insights too.
right.
And a lot of times these language exchanges turn into real friendships.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's really cool.
So where do you find these people?
There are lots of websites and apps for that.
Okay, cool. So it's pretty accessible.
Super accessible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive
Yeah.
into mastering small talk in English,
Mm-hmm.
what's the one key takeaway?
Okay, so I think the most important thing to remember is that small talk is a skill.
Okay.
It's not a talent.
Right.
Anyone can learn it
Uh-huh.
and get better at it with practice.
It's like anything else.
Exactly.
The more you do it,
Yep.
the better you get.
And it's about taking those small steps,
Mm-hmm.
celebrating those little wins,
Right.
and just approaching every conversation as a chance to learn and grow.
Beautifully said. I love that.
Thank you.
And remember, guys, it's not about being perfect.
Yeah. It's about being present,
Mm-hmm.
engaged.
Being genuine.
Yeah, and genuinely interested in connecting with other people.
Exactly. Make those connections.
Awesome. So we encourage you to check out this guide, Mastering Small Talk in English.
Yeah, it's full of great tips.
Put these tips into action and keep practicing.
Yeah,
You'll be amazed at how much progress you can make.
you got this.
And as you continue on your small talk journey,
Yeah.
here's a final thought-provoking question to consider.
Okay, hit me.
What one small change will you make in your next conversation?
Ooh, I like that.
Right. It could be trying a new conversation starter,
Yeah.
focusing on that active listening,
Mhm.
or even just taking a deep breath and reminding yourself to relax.
Right, be yourself.
Yeah, have fun.
Totally.
So go out there and shine.
You got this.
You got this.